Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. We're back with our program On Target. Remember, you're on Real FM 91.9, 91.5. You're on We Noise FM 94.9. We're on YouTube. And we encourage you to share our program, like our program, and subscribe to the program. You have the opportunity to pick up the telephone and participate. The number is 442-0175. We will also try to read some of the posts on social media. We thank you all. People from all different sections, villages in Grenada participate in our program. And we want to encourage you to continue. While I await your call, remember the number to call is 442-0175, and you can introduce your own subject matter. One of the issues trending now is the United States, Donald Trump, and the United States policy of tax or tariff and the expulsion of immigrants. Donald Trump's policy, it is not new. Since he entered politics as the prime minister, as the president, he took a different position from previous president. He felt that too much people was coming in America, and the time has come to manage immigrants. And he decided to send back illegal immigrants. Now, almost all the countries in Europe does that. Canada, I've often said Canada have not been kind to the Caribbean people. Sometimes I'm harsher. I say they don't want black people. They've been sending back. The United States have been the most tolerant country to immigrants. Outside of Africa, United States have the most black people after Brazil. And you could go to the United States as a black man. If you're born in the United States, you could reach the highest position in the government, that is president. It's not easy in England, Japan, Russia, China, or any imperial power in the world. So I've often said, the Americans are the most tolerant. The Americans is also one of the most hated nations in the world. People have a kind of love-hate relationship with America. They like America and they hate America at the same time. Even our Grenadian communists, and you know how much they hated America. As soon as the coup d'etat experiment failed in Grenada, they went comfortably in Uncle Sam country. They're in America. They're still running on America because they have freedom of the press. United States of America have provided incentives for almost all other countries in the world. So you can export your crops to America, or your products, or your items. You can export it to America without paying tariff. And these countries have responded by charging America tariff when America exports to them. Let me give you an example. If Budweiser beer was permitted to come to Grenada without tax, we would have a lot of Budweiser beer. The Caribbean countries put more tax on American commodities coming to the Caribbean than what the tax we receive in America for exporting our products. Donald Trump has decided that is unfair trading practice. If you tax me, I'm taxing you back. Now, is it justified? Some might argue that the United States is a big economy and we are a small economy. So we should send our products in America and permit it to go there free. But we must prevent American products from coming in Grenada. And that is what the taxation does. It is to prevent products from the United States to come here. The argument is we want to develop our economy, and if we import products, it would come cheaper. Take, for instance, the poultry industry in Grenada. We are bringing in poultry from Brazil. No. But some farmers are arguing, tax the poultry products from Brazil to give our poultry industry an opportunity to rise. Is it just? I'm not talking about fair now. Is it just? Whose interest it is in? The United States have over 700 military bases across the world. That is the only empire in the world with so much of military base. A lot of the countries welcome the base because they see it as protection. And when you have American base in a country, the multiplying effect of that base. Americans like to spend money. So let me give you an example. We have a multi-million-dollar project, a multi-million-dollar project taking place in Livera. But all the villages close to Livera, you don't have a multiplying effect of that project there. So in La Poterie, Tivoli, Riversali, you don't see the Chinese mingling with the community and spend money. If it was an American company there, all the shops, the discos, the dance hall would have benefit from that project. Is the United States justified to say enough is enough? If you tax me, a tax in your back. When it was first initiated, Caribbean leaders, I thought, was in a combative mood and beating the chest. I took issue with them. I said maybe they don't understand the gravity of that policy. And you notice, I'm not saying Donald Trump policy is unfair. I'm not saying it is unjust. It may well be benefit. In fact, I believe the policy of America benefits America. It does not benefit us. But that doesn't mean it is not just. Countries all over the world want the United States because the United States seems to provide a sense of stability in countries. When countries are seriously challenged with human rights, they want the United States to intervene. Sometimes they intervene and they get a lot of criticism because sometimes they intervene for their own agenda. While all these things is going on, Caribbean leaders in particular, I would believe have a love-hate relationship with America. All of them pretending them is socialists and Marxist-Leninists. They are not benefiting directly from the communist country, but they promote the communist country. While they call America Great Satan, World Police, all sort of negative terms, never showing appreciation for the incentives that the Americans provide for them to sell the goods in the American market. Now, United States of America, I believe, is arrogantly living above their means. And there must be a point at which they take stock. One would ask today, is Donald Trump a genius or is he a jackass? What Donald Trump is doing now, is it in the interest of the American market? Donald Trump is saying America don't have to be world police. And he's interested in closing some of the bases, the military base, some of them around the world. He is challenging Europe. You need to spend more money for your own defense. And if you want America to help you, you must pay. Israel today, what we might call American baby, has decided to drop the tax on American goods. With all the help and assistance America has been giving Israel, Israel has been taxing America more than America was taxing them. A lot of empires in the world fail. And some empires fail when they become too arrogantly successful. They're arrogant and they're successful. So they refuse to take strong medicine. So the question that many might ask, is Donald Trump a genius or a jackass? The action Donald Trump is taking today, is it good for the American economy? You have to remember the United States owe the world the most debt. I believe it is the most indebted country in the world. Well, why should you be so indebted and yet you provide so much incentives for the majority of countries in the world? That doesn't make much sense. Why should you be so indebted, yet you have over 700 military bases in the world to protect other people that not even paying for the protection? Why? Why should you be so indebted and you're providing so much incentives for the majority of countries in the world, and you have 11% poverty in your own country? Is Donald Trump a genius or is he a jackass? This is a good time in our history when our economists, our managers, and some strong political pundits should be discussing issues, these issues. It's not whether you hate Donald Trump or you like Donald Trump. You could call him a moron. You could say he's untactful. You could say he betrays his friend. Is the policy of Donald Trump in the United States of America vis-a-vis taxation and tariff and sending back immigrants justified? United States perhaps have the most foreigners in prison. Let me repeat that. The United States of America have the most foreigners, immigrants, people from alien land in the prison. Does it make good economic sense to send them back? Does it make good economic sense to send them back to the countries from which they originate. Remember, Grenada is sending back people to the country. If you go back and listen, Blakey, for those of you who was not in town long, they used to say when they tell a Grenadian say box, and they say box, licks in the police van. And when they tell them say dog, and they say dog, licks in the police van. Because automatically you identify them as an alien. The Caribbean is not overpopulated. Guyana, that is 83,000 square miles, bigger than England, almost twice. England is about 44,000 square miles. Guyana don't have 1 million people. Guyana have all sorts of minerals and massive land space. Guyana don't have 1 million people. So what is the problem in Guyana welcoming all the immigrants from the Caribbean that the Americans decide to expel? Guyana have the place. Guyana cannot develop more without people. And now that they have oil galore, they're likely to get more corrupt with weak institutions and lack of people. Dominica. Dominica is almost 3 times the size of Grenada. Dominica population is not sustainable. So Dominica should glad if America and England and Europe send back the people. Barbados population about 240,000. And about 70 or 80 years ago, Belize and the Bahamas was about 80,000. Today, Belize and the Bahamas is about 400,000 people. And Barbados' population has not increased significantly. So why Barbados don't welcome the immigrants? Trinidad just accepted over 40,000 Venezuelans. So why Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean, when Trump made his statement, did not welcome and encourage the immigrants to come back home? The population of Grenada has not risen in the last 100 years in any significant way. St. Lucia had about 400 persons more than Grenada 78 years ago. Now St. Lucia is about 70 to 80,000 people more. Why is it in God's name the Caribbean countries encouraging the people to go to alien land? We need the people here. Most of the people who are going in alien land is the people with the most potential. The trained people, the young people between 15 and 35, 40 years. That is practically your working force. How are we going to improve our country if we're doing everything to export our people? What are our nurses going to do in England? And they have not done well when they go in England. Most of them sorry. They regret that they go in England. But they would not publicly discourage others from going, because it's shame. They say, if I could go and be disappointed, let them go and be disappointed. England curb spend about 30% less on the nursing program. England had a serious drop in nursing, in the nurses coming from Brexit countries. Nurses from England are going into America to work because they get more pay. And everybody in the world is attracted to America. So England turned to the Caribbean and Africa for nurses. What happened to us in the Caribbean? What's wrong with our leaders in the Caribbean? This problem could be solved overnight. Any Grenadian or Caribbean people that you give tertiary education, for every 1 year training they receive, it must be the law that they serve 38 months. For every 1 year you train them, they must serve 38 months. You should go in Parliament and make it the law. So nobody ought to sign bond. It's the law. And if they decide to leave the country, they have to pay back because of that 1 year study. The Caribbean have to find legal ways to keep the people in the country. And every person is given a secondary education. But once you want tertiary education, you have to prepare to pay back that cost that the government bore. You see, great empires have failed. And there must be a point in thinkers. At what point you reach the peak. And because you are so arrogantly successful, you are becoming unsustainable, unproductive. I think I tired myself. Let me say that again. Thinkers in your country have to determine at what point of development the laws of diminishing return arises. So because you are so arrogantly successful, your productivity level has dropped and it no longer could sustain that arrogant success. And if you continue on that trajectory, the laws of diminishing return would step in. Maybe the United States is at that point. And I believe this is the correct time for the United States to say, the time has come for us to cut down some of the incentives that we have been providing for countries. Some of the well-developed rich countries, you don't need that incentive no more. And those countries who have love-hate relationship with the United States, you don't appreciate the incentives we've been offering you for development. So we're going to remove it. Donald Trump perhaps could have been more tactful. But I believe his policy may be justified. And perhaps we need our thinkers to understand it. The Caribbean leaders today are not big thinkers. They are reactionaries, very emotional, and they're pretending to support the left while they're happy. They're pretending to support the left while they're very comfortable to live in the West. The Caribbean leaders are pretending to be agents and students of socialism and Marxist-Leninism. But they want to live high and dry in countries that have freedom of the press and freedom of expression. So obviously, they're not prepared for Donald Trump. They want to live high and dry. Up to today, I have not heard no Caribbean leader, no political leader in the Caribbean call for the freedom of prisoners in Cuba. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good day, sir.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
I just joined you. Yeah.
Yes.
I heard somebody nurses said that the reason why they're going away, some of them say they are 17 years in the service, some is 18 years, and they promise to regularize them. And almost 2 years the government is in office. They ain't hear anything, so they don't give them no incentive to stay here. So that's why they're trying to go looking for a better deal. You know, so that's why most of them said they go. Mr. Pierre, you talk about the United States. With such an incompetent government we have here, what will be our position? Because this is not a government probably that could pick up a telephone and call a world leader. We don't have this type of leadership here. We don't have this type of... We have to be very much concerned about that because we had leadership before who could have picked up the telephone and call even Donald Trump when we are in a crisis. I don't think we developed this kind of... As today I was listening to a news, the opposition leader in Trinidad called the present government incompetent. I said, Lord, well, what they leave us in Grenada? Because I know PNM has been in office for so long. When she called them an incompetent government, I said, well, all that politics, because PNM could never be incompetent when them is the longest serving party I know in this country. So that's why I say, well, when it comes to Grenada, what will happen to us? When we have one of the most selfish, we have one of the most corrupt, we have one of the most victimizing government. So these governments go off course. I could tell Grenadians that these governments go off course in a lot of things. Being the first to divide Grenada by saying they should look for the people first. And this is a matter I will never cease on, you know why? Because this is one of the most dangerous statements for any leader to make. The supporters trying to defend it, and when they haven't got facts, they're getting arrogant and they're starting to attack you personally. This is what's going on right now, because they cannot defend some of the statements which the leader make. I rest my case.
Yes, my brother. I understand the nurses, the young men who go to greener pastures. I believe over the years, Caribbean leaders have not done a good job in providing information for our people. Even the trade union in Grenada have not taken time off to study the conditions that nurses work in England. England have the most overload in Europe where nurses is concerned. The fastest burnout rate. And our nurses that go in England, most of them are disappointed. But don't expect them to come back and say anything about it. And even the time some nurses live here, around 35 years. They would have been in the nursing more than 10, 15 years. Some of them have a child. Some of them have relationship. And they leave the country and go and work for another 10, 15 years in England. And when they come back, they're old. They have arthritis. They have lumbago. They have cancer. And they are going back to the same medical system we have here. Most of them was disappointed and sorry. You see, when we're looking for greener pastures, sometimes we doesn't watch where we foot is. And we doesn't really recognize that the pasture is very green where we are. And when they move to a foreign country, sometimes the pay scale or the working condition is not better. The money they get might be bigger, but sometimes they go in a similar or lower pay scale. So they have to pay rent in England and food stuff. And there's very little money left to buy a house. Well, they can't even buy land in England if they want to. In Grenada, you could own a piece of land. And you could build a 16 by 16 and start there because you don't have winter. So a lot of our women who go yonder, they are worse off. Some of the children they left here to go in England, gone astray because mommy wasn't there. Daddy pick up an next woman. Children in trouble, drop out of school. And I've spoken to some women. They regret. There is absolutely no need for nurses to go and work in foreign land. There is no need for young men, 18 and 25, 30, to go in the British Army. What you going there for? You're going to kill people you don't hate. Let me repeat that. Most of you going to kill people. You have nothing against them. You don't hate them. You're not defending anything. And as a result, the traumatic impact of that phenomenon provide a lot of mental challenges for young men. So we as a people must discourage Caribbean people from going to wander in alien land. If you don't have permanent and you're not going to study, visit like a tourist and come back in your country. There are opportunities in the Caribbean, but the Caribbean leaders have to determine whether they are Marxist Leninists or whether they believe in freedom of speech and freedom of expression. That, I believe, is one of the serious impediments that stands in our way of development. John Compton never could forget it and always saying that. He said the University of the West Indies has not done justice to agriculture. He said we're worse off than the days of Pharaoh. Because in the days of Pharaoh, we had the bullocks on the cart. We're fighting with the speed. Forbes Bonham tried. He did not get any support. Caribbean leaders have to realize you are about 7, 8, 10 million people. Or if you could hate, you jump up to about 25 million people. We could do much more for our people. Our education system is not answering the challenge of our development. And the leaders know that. But most of them don't mind having few educated people. Look at Jamaica. Jamaica has done well in music. But do Jamaica teach music in school? No. Does Trinidad teach music in school? No. It's better we was exporting musicians and entertainers, they're likely to make much more money than those who go to do nursing and in the British Army. Now, if you're looking for remuneration from your people, how much money nurse have to send back? How much money a soldier have to send back? You're likely to get much more money from a musician or entertainer. Why we don't invest in the subjects in school that are likely to attract more energy, more attention, more money, and consequently more numeration? We seem to be preoccupied in teaching our children to make up the bed. Nothing's wrong in making up the bed. But if that is the skill they have, they go lie down on the bed they make up. While we blast Donald Trump for his policies, are we prepared to sit down as a think tank and discuss the genuineness, whether it is warranted at this time? Is it good medicine for American poor? Because America is one of the most powerful countries in the world. Is the United States reach a stage that if they don't take serious medicine, the empire would start to crumble? Anytime your development start to result in diminishing returns, then you have to take stock. Maybe the United States need to cut half of their bases around the world. Because of technology, it may not be necessary. And put more attention on economics and trade and business. Have you ever thought about that? Is Donald Trump a genius or a jackass? Caribbean leaders a few weeks ago was in a combative mood. Alyssa Mia Motley, she sung helpless and bleak. We should not be. There is quite a lot of opportunities in the American policies for us. But our leaders must be prepared to think and come up with solutions. Our leaders must be prepared to think and come up with solutions. And our people, our economists in our country always disappoint me. Those guys like to give it, well, men and women, they like to give the impression that they're smart. My favorite word is they have a briefcase of certificate, a bag of problem. They are not thinkers. We're supposed to always trying to find the solution, not walking around with the problem. When we have a problem, we must address it. We must get solutions. If you have a problem in the home, what is the solution? That's what we have a brain for. To think. And the Caribbean heads of government, they need to sit and think. That's the United States policy. And obviously, it's a harsh policy. Because the United States is arrogantly powerful and successful. And they do not want to accept the fact that maybe the laws of diminishing return is in force. More you put out, you're not getting a corresponding amount with what you put out. You're getting less. The people who raise pigs will know that. After 8-9 months, if you have a fattener, you should get rid of it long. The food you're eating in not providing meat for it. If you're dealing with boilers, after 5 weeks, you need to get rid of the boiler. It might cost you cheaper to slaughter it and put it in the fridge rather than continue to feed it. If you're dealing with livestock and the sow drop and make 9 and 1 is a runt, it is cheaper for you to put the runt to sleep than feed the runt. Because the food that the runt eating would never compensate. Do you believe that the United States of America has reached a stage that if they don't implement harsh medication, the laws of diminishing return would start to take place? They don't have to be world police. Maybe they need to close some of the bases around the world. And maybe they need to challenge some of the other people around the world for the incentives they have been providing for them. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
And how are you?
Great, man.
Right. Mr. Pierre, I noticed a new system going around where people are saying that the minister give them permission to make noise or to play loud music or to distract villagers. And I find something is totally wrong. Even some people are calling and say that they call the police station, the police telling them that they don't know nothing about music playing in certain areas and so on. And the people coming back to say that the minister, a lady proved it that she spoke to Andy, and Andy just laughed and tell her, you know, those people don't get it already. So I want people to know definitely that a minister in government does not have no legal right to give anybody permission to play music. The commissioner of police, together with the members of the police force, that is responsible for that. So when you come and tell the nation that the minister tell you, yes, you could go ahead and play music, and we've been hearing that last week, this week, very much on the radio for that matter. GBN tried to hold a program with us this morning only, you know. And I find it's a thing for people to say that the minister give you. The minister does not authorize. The prime minister doesn't even authorize to give permission to play music or to hold any loud function. That has to come from the commissioner of police. So something is definitely wrong. We're going on the wrong system.
Sometimes you have to be consistent. And the prime minister said that they didn't have no music for independence celebration. There was none.
Well, yeah, the prime minister said that, yeah. But the prime minister would have get the permission or seek the permission. The prime minister have to seek the permission from the police.
Caller, no. The police gave permission. The prime minister override it, and the police take back the permission.
Well, something wrong with the constitution?
Not the constitution. The constitution is what is written on paper. The government of Grenada flaunt the law with impunity. The constitution is what is written. Nothing wrong with the constitution. The police gave authority. I think it was during the independence celebration. Right? People plan their things, and the prime minister dismiss. The police only come back to save face. The prime minister override the authority of the police.
Well, if the police, something wrong with the system.
Nothing wrong with the system, something wrong with us. The law is clear, the constitution is there. But the prime minister is the first among equal. And although the authority should be given by the police, the prime minister wasn't tactful. Look at what the prime minister did in parliament. The speaker of the house called on Dennis Cornwall, the minister of finance, to close the debate.
Yes, I remember.
Dennis Cornwall stood up to close the debate. It appears that the speaker of the house got other instruction. He stopped Dennis Cornwall and called him for a caucus, a private caucus, which normally does not happen. Dennis Cornwall, obviously, when you look at his face and his demeanor, he took objection to the Speaker of the House and he went back and continued to close the debate. The Speaker of the House called for a recession or something. And in the discussion we are hearing with the members of government who were there, he agreed that Dennis Cornwall should continue the debate. And when he reached, the Prime Minister stood up and spoke. And Chester Humphrey was more chastising Dr. Kit Mitchell than the law or the Speaker of the House or the Prime Minister. We have to be consistent.
So we could safely say different strokes for different folks.
The Prime Minister of Grenada flaunts the law with impunity. Look at what he did with the GDB Bank. This regulation was there since 1973.
Yes,
all other governments adhere to it because it was put in place to close corruption door. The Prime Minister flaunted the law with impunity, and then we hear of the raid on the bank.
Well, I understand what you're saying there, but I think if we continue going down that road, it's going to be a dangerous road.
Of course.
It will be a dangerous road.
Of course, you forget the same Prime Minister dabble with the occult. Never in the history of Grenada we openly had a Prime Minister that tried to raise the dead. You know, throughout history, people shown that. People objected to people interfering with the dead. We say, may his soul rest in peace.
Yeah.
That is when I thought the Prime Minister was evil. And we are letting evil go. It's not the Constitution.
Take out your phone and shine. Anyhow, I think it's not a good future for Grenada.
No, it's bad. We're letting evil go. More voices.
And I think the Prime Minister must take some advice from people.
We must speak.
Yes.
We must speak with more authority and call on other individuals who play in snake in the grass.
Exactly.
Because a number of them was the custodians of morality. And now they turned down.
Mr. Pierre, I said it openly already and I'm saying it again. If the government is doing something that is beneficial to the state, while I'm not a supporter of them, I will support it.
Well, you support the government, but not the party. You may not be a supporter of NDC party, but you support the government.
That the government do. But in the interest of this state, the Grenada is going to be benefiting. I am going to. And if I have to go to the ministers to get Grenada, get something done that Grenada is going to benefit, I will do it. You will tell me, you like your tone now and whatnot. We have to
draw a line between the political party and the government.
And I am prepared to do that at any time.
Yes, thank you.
Right? Thank you.
You see, we have to be consistent. Yeah. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, this man does keep the line up for
let's go. For the long while I'm waiting for a call, nobody will call.
Anyway, the point that he made early on about people playing music loudly, this is not the complaint that was made, Mr. Bridgman. This is not the complaint that was made. The complaint that was made was pertaining to the mosque, the Muslim mosque, or the Muslim church they have down in Point Salim, down there. Okay? So they have some big horns there, and sometimes they blow out, shout out, they say call to worship. It's like Papa God can hear Muslim just so, or their God cannot hear them easily. So they have used these big horns to blow out. You know, and people have been complaining about that because it's disturbing the community. Mr. Bridgman, this is what is happening. They have those horns that they're blowing out. They loudly. They're calling to worship, calling the members to worship. Whereas they could just use that telephone to call them. Right? So they have this big hand, and this is disturbing the community. Thank you.
Again, what happened there, you start to have a culture clash. Once Islam reach 10% of your population, they ain't quiet no more. They start to make demands. And in most Islamic countries, you have these big horns on the mosque, or what we call our church. I think they call it mosque. And periodic time, they have this big call to worship. And nothing is wrong when it is in Saudi Arabia or Indonesia or majority Muslim countries. Anytime Islam reach about 10% of your population, Islam is not a peaceful religion. And then they will start to draw a line of demarcation and make demand. So what is going on now is because people are not used to it. But over the years, it's going to come worse. Islam is one of the fastest growing religions in the world. And they could be pretty radical. I kind of like the idea that a man could have more than one wife. In Islam, you could have up to 5 wives. And the Quran says you could beat your wife. You could admonish her. You could deny your bedroom. And you could beat her slightly. And I know a lot of women in Grenada like Islam. So this is a clash. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon. If America they right in their own country and they marching against Trump, who is us to do like what Trump do? You didn't watch in the news?
Yeah.
They marching against because they see what Trump doing, and anything Trump do America, the Caribbean feeling it. So I don't see where you're saying where people must be Trump don't doing nothing, Mr. Pierre. Trump not doing nothing, you know. If he is doing something, the people are the one that march against it. If he is doing something right, you cannot picking up people from way nowhere, and you want people to come in Grenada here. So pick up all them people and they know where we are, know who they are, and throw it in Grenada here. Grenada, you find Grenada is a dumper. Not perseverance in Grenada here. Not in that perseverance. When who want to take it, take it. You have a after thing behind that why they grabbing it. But if anybody do it in Grenada here, we have to march against it. You can't grab people from nowhere yet and come and throw them in Grenada here. We population, if we could have made children, I don't know we didn't make children in the beginning we used to make. But right now we cannot because the cost of living is too high. We can't buy sugar.
What the cost of living have to do with children? Sex not nothing to do with cost of living.
You don't see
Stop
that
that.
condom?
Sex not nothing to do with cost of living.
They give us condom for us not to make children, you know.
When people are hardly buying condom, they buy more pregnancy tests.
So what Trump doing, I see a marching against what Trump doing. Everybody in America marching against.
Not everybody. A lot of people.
So they don't like what he's doing. If he's doing something good, they would have, because they know they vote for him. But he's not doing something right. So everybody march against him. So they say he got to go. No, he got to go. Just like that one in Grenada here, he got to go because what Trump doing us and what he doing us is more worse than anything else. Because anytime America make the win, we smell it. And when we smell it, it's so bad we can't inhale it. So we can't fight that. Have a blessed day, Mr. Pierre.
Thank you, caller. It's always difficult, and that's why I believe there should be discussion. People are arrogantly successful. And when people are successful, they want nothing interfere with that success. And most society that have failed, the Roman Empire is an example. They want to please the people by letting them continue to benefit from that success. The United States of America have over 700 military bases in the world. But people say, how are you going to reduce that base? You wouldn't be a world empire anymore. Do you have to be a world empire? Is it necessary? And what costs you pay for being a world empire? You are providing incentives for people to access your market. United States is one of the biggest consumers in the world. So everybody wants to sell to the United States. Should you continue to provide incentives for people to make money from you? Could you sustain that? At what point in time the laws of diminishing return take over? Now, if that happens, how do you keep your people satisfied without destroying your empire? And these are the questions that thinkers, the philosophers in the rum shop, on the block, we should be asking. Americans should be asking that too. Does the United States reach a point in time when they should control illegal immigrants? Or should we make legal entry into the United States easier to avoid illegal immigrants? If you have millions of people in Mexico on the border lining up to cross over your border illegally, is that sustainable? Is that sustainable? Right now, Russia have a war. And Russia, under the same, is losing people. The young men don't want to die. Over 1 million people die between Russia and Ukraine. So in both countries, young men and parents encouraging their children to flee from war zone. You know, these are issues that must discuss before we openly condemn one country. Let us sit down and discuss the issues and see if there is justification, reason, rationale, or is Donald Trump a genius or a jackass? As we come to the end of the program today, we want to thank you for participating, and we encourage you to share. Remember, share, subscribe, and like, because what we do is to provoke discussion. Thank you very much.